Okay, so you've probably heard the name Montessori kicked around. You see it on preschools, on toys, but what does it actually mean? Well, it's way more than just a brand. It's a really deep philosophy about education. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the core ideas that make this method so powerful. To really get it, we have to start with the founder herself, Dr. Maria Montessori. And this quote, it's everything. She talks about this movement with a purpose. It's this idea that education isn't about stuffing kids' heads with facts. It's about guiding their natural, purposeful energy. And that one idea, right there, is the key that unlocks this entire method. All right, so here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with the big picture, what it means to educate the whole child. Then we'll see how that idea gets real through what's called purposeful work. After that, we'll look at how they use these amazing stories to teach, well, everything. We'll follow the journey from hands-on learning to abstract thought, and finally, we'll see what the ultimate goal of all of this is, building a citizen of the world. Okay, first up, the foundational philosophy. Dr. Montessori called it educating the whole child, and she meant it. We're talking about nurturing every single part of a student, not just their brain for academics, but their physical skills, their emotional intelligence, and even their spiritual and moral compass. It's about the whole person, right from day one. Now, at the very heart of this is a concept she called the absorbent mind. What Montessori figured out was that little kids, especially from birth to age 6, learn completely differently than we do. They're like these incredible sponges, just soaking up everything from the world around them without even trying. They're not studying, they're absorbing life through their senses. And this picture just says it all, doesn't it? For a child in this phase, learning isn't a chore they have to do. It's this deep, natural drive to get their hands on things and engage in meaningful activities. This isn't just playtime. This is the essential work of building a mind. So you might be wondering, how does this big, beautiful philosophy actually look in a classroom? Well, let's step inside and see how it all gets grounded through what Montessori called purposeful work, especially for the youngest kids. In an early years classroom, you'll see two main areas of work: practical life and sensorial. Practical life is just what it sounds like, learning to pour or button a coat. It's this beautiful bridge between home and school. And then you have the sensorial materials, like the famous pink tower. Now, it's not just a stack of blocks. It's a genius tool designed to train a child's eye to see subtle differences in size, which, you guessed it, is a direct pathway to understanding math. And here's what's so critical to understand. This is not just playing around. Every single thing is carefully designed. The tools are real, yep, a tiny knife that actually cuts, and they're sized for little hands. This teaches respect and real-world skills. Every task has a purpose and a clear sequence, which builds that incredible ability to concentrate, to coordinate movements, and to become truly independent. That's the bedrock for everything that comes next. So once you have that foundation of focus and independence, the whole world can open up. For elementary-aged kids, the Montessori curriculum expands in this really cool way, using these epic cosmic stories to introduce them to, well, the entire universe. They're called the 5 Great Lessons, and they are huge. They're these amazing, sweeping narratives that give kids the ultimate big picture. So why stories? Because at this age, kids are looking for meaning. They want to know how everything fits together. So instead of learning science and history in little boxes, they see how it's all one interconnected drama. And you can see it happening right here. The point of these stories isn't to give every single answer. The point is to create a sense of awe, to completely fire up their imagination, and to spark so many questions that they are driven to go find the answers for themselves. It's about lighting a fire, not filling a bucket. Okay, let's zoom in on just one subject to see how this whole journey works. Math is probably the perfect example of how Montessori brilliantly guides a child from something they can touch and feel all the way to really complex, abstract ideas. Think about this. In a Montessori classroom, you don't start learning math with a pencil and paper. You start with things you can actually hold. The decimal system, units, tens, hundreds, is introduced with these bead materials. A child can literally see and feel the difference between one tiny bead and a heavy cube of 1,000 beads. This table just lays it all out so perfectly. That concrete, physical understanding of numbers that a 3 or 4-year-old gets with the beads, that directly paves the way for an adolescent to be able to understand something as abstract as variables or quadratic equations. Every new, complex idea is built on a solid foundation that they built with their own 2 hands. So we've seen this incredible progression from concrete to abstract, but what's it all for? Where does this all lead? Well, that brings us to the final and maybe most important piece of the puzzle, the ultimate goal of helping adolescents find their place in the world. Let's go back to practical life for a second. Remember that toddler carefully pouring water? Well, that same impulse to master a real-world skill evolves. For an adolescent, it becomes learning to navigate public transportation by themselves, managing their own time, or even running a small student business. It's all about applying those foundational skills to real, meaningful responsibilities. And this, right here, is the ultimate vision. The goal isn't just to create a great student, it's to help grow a great human being. It's about fostering an individual who is independent, capable, and compassionate. Someone who understands their connection to the world and feels empowered to make a positive contribution. For Montessori, education was truly a pathway to peace. So we want to leave you with this one final thought. The entire Montessori method is built on this deep, profound respect for the child, right here, right now. And it makes you wonder, what if the best way to prepare our kids for the future is to simply honor their powerful, purposeful work in the present?